Muted.
What you do? Mute me as I start to talk or what? All right, anyway, I call the meeting to order, and I'd like to all stand for the pledge of the flag, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. And
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
all right, be seated.
Jay, all I can see is Dean.
Roll call. Okay.
Archer. Here. Bartels. Here. Bruno.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Corcoran.
Here.
Criswell.
Here.
Galon.
Here.
Donaldson.
Here.
Fabiano.
Here.
Gaveris.
Present.
Green. Here. Haynes. Here. Hepner.
Here.
Litz.
Here.
Lopez. Mayo. Here. Parody.
Here.
Petit.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Ronk.
Present.
Buchatel.
Here.
Walter.
Here.
And Warrow.
Here.
22 present and 1 absent.
Craig was here.
Yeah, he was.
I don't see him anymore.
I'd like to announce the birthdays tonight. We have Abe Uchatel,
Happy birthday, Abe.
May 6th.
Happy birthday.
Thank
you. Heidi Ames
Hey,
Happy
Heidi.
birthday,
Happy birthday, Heidi.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
and Manna Joe Green,
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
man.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man,
May
Joe.
26th. Very nice. I'd like to entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes.
I'll make that
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Made by Litz, was it? And seconded by whom?
Ronk.
Ronk. All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Let's move on. There are communications on file from anywhere from myself to Walter Earl. So take a look at them if you wish. They're on file, and along with the the county executives' communications are also on file. Now we would have ready for public comment, correct?
We are, and I'm looking at the call-in studio, and I have confirmation from Fawn that we have no speakers.
We have no speakers.
Nope.
All righty, then we have no speakers then. And we'll go into the resolutions. We have a consent agenda. On the consent agenda.
Chairman Donaldson?
Yes.
If I may, I'd like to propose moving resolution 193 from non-consent to consent.
Stand by.
Do we have a second? Again?
Stand by. Yeah, we could do that.
All right. Resolution 193 moved into consent. On the consent agenda,
We are a short yes.
We're a short yes.
The resolutions are adopted 22-0.
on consent agendas,
The non-consent, Resolution 96, supporting New York State Senate Bill S7280 and New York State Assembly Bill A09107, supporting the Emergency First Responders Privacy and Protection Act.
Legislator Rock,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This time, I would like to make a motion that we postpone resolutions 96 and 97 until the next month's meeting.
I'll second that.
seconded by Legislator Litz. Legislator Ebner. Leader Ebner is.
Yeah, I second that.
Well, it was already seconded by Legislator Litz on the.
We're short, yes,
Right.
on postponement.
On postponement, we're also a short yes.
All righty. Thank
The
you.
resolutions are postponed 22-0.
Resolution 97.
97 was part of that motion.
It was indeed.
So now we are on
Oh, it
170.
was?
Yep,
All right. I didn't hear the
Once-
97, sorry.
174, approving the execution of a contract in excess of $50,000 entered into by the county, the Offset House, Inc., doing business as Catamount Color Department of Tourism.
All righty, on the resolution,
On the resolution, we are a short yes with the following no's: legislators Archer, Ushatel, and Green.
On the resolution, we're a short yes.
The resolution is adopted 19-3. Resolution 177, appointing and reappointing members to the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency Board of Directors.
on the resolution. Legislator Ron,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've had a lot of discussion in our caucus on this resolution. At this time, I would like to make a motion to amend the resolution to strike the name of Dr. Diane Enyan and to replace it with Hayes Clement, and to strike the name of Orlando Reese and replace it with Paul Andreessen.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. On the amendment. Legislator Ron,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In discussion with the members of our caucus who are on the Economic Development Committee, in their discussion with the rest of us, we feel that this better reflects the scores that the candidates were given by members of the Economic Development Committee. And that's why we're putting it forward.
anyone else? Legislator Cahill, you have to take yourself off mute.
Yep, thank you very much. So I just want to discuss real briefly about the process that we went through with this. We held, as you all know, multiple days of interviews. Our caucus presented 8 additional candidates, plus the 7 that were seated. We had, I believe, every single member of our caucus sat in on at least some of those interviews. And we felt that, we've done a good job during the interview process. Everybody was heard. We had unanimous votes on everything during the committee, including the 7 names that we put on this resolution tonight, which were done, in the spirit of compromise and consensus to the folks that were there. None of us got all of our selections. None of us got, I think, our first 2 or 3. I mean, I know personally, I didn't get my first 2 choices aren't on that list. And in the spirit of compromise, to agree to put forth a unified list of names, which we did. And then, hopefully that the caucuses and then, of course, the legislature as a whole respected the committee work that we did and the committee system overall. I mean, I really think, the idea that we had a full slate, unanimous decisions coming out of that committee speaks a lot to the work that we did there. The folks there were in agreement with what we did when we did it, right?
And I mean, all I can say is that, I would hate to see, the work that this committee has done, be taken out at the knees here at the last minute. We worked very, very hard, and we did our due diligence. We interviewed these folks, and anybody that was sitting in and anybody that listened, they know that we were fair. We reached out as much as we possibly could to get people to participate. I sent over 24 emails. I spent, on the day before our last meeting, I spent an hour and a half on the phone with Legislator Litz. On the day after, I spent another half an hour on the phone with Legislator Litz. I tried my very, very best to get everybody involved. And by the way, I felt great success with the way we did that. And with that, I'm going to stop now. Thank you.
Legislator Litz?
Okay. In any appointments we make, whether it's in our private businesses or legislature, we should always appoint the best qualified people, which will ensure the best possibility for success of the board. I interviewed 2 people yesterday for my job, for my company. And I do it basically the same way. We have ratings that were given. I take notes during the interview. I review the resumes, and I put forth the people that I thought were best qualified to sit on the IDA board. Unfortunately, our last set of interviews were on Saturday. We turned our numbers in, we got them back on Monday, and then Fawn reached out to all of us to try to get a date that we could come together to come up with our 7 best candidates, which should be based on their merits and their experience and their ability to serve on the IDA. I told Dawn I will set aside time for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday, but I cannot meet on Thursday. I'm out of town for work. And they made it on Thursday. Legislator Cahill said, it was unanimous. It was unanimous because I was not included. And here or there, that doesn't make a difference. But we as a legislature, we should be appointing the best possible people to the IDA. One of the 7 people put up tonight on resolution 177, and I wrote it in my notes. It's right here. I don't know if you can read it. 5 times. This particular person 5 times in answering 3 of the questions started out their answer by, I have no idea what the IDA board does, and then went on to answer the question. 2 of those 4 questions didn't answer the substance of the question, went on about some experience or whatever that was not really germane to the question. And on my sheet, got some lower marks. That person has an extremely impressive resume. I would put her up for the chairman of the Board of Education, because she's certainly well qualified for that. But to sit on the IDA, I think there are other people that we interviewed that are more qualified. One of which, who's not in the 7 in the resolution, but that particular individual has a very impressive resume in the building inspection realm, to the point where the individual actually teaches building inspection for the Department of State. The man is highly qualified to sit on the IDA board. So that being said, I think the process, we went through the process. I don't think it fared well. because we're not putting forth the best 7 candidates out of who we interviewed. I think we can do better. I think the people that we put forth should be the best qualified people to sit on the IDA board. I know there were some comments made that were fed back to me because I was not part of the meeting. And it was about a particular couple of people's ethnicity or gender or background. And I'll be honest with you, a white Protestant person doesn't qualify to be on an IDA board because there's no such qualifications on the board. So we should not be picking board members based upon their ethnicity or their gender or their race or their persuasion. It should be based on the best qualified people to fit the position for which they're being appointed for. I have other things to say, but I think I'll let some other people give their comments. And if anybody wants to hear more, I read the law several times. I went through it. The pertinent portion of the law that speaks to the qualifications for an appointment on the IDA is in the first whereas in the resolution. And it talks about, maybe some diversification, but that diversification is on the representatives from local government or school boards or organized labor or businesses. It's professional diversification, not human attributes. I will turn the floor over to anybody else who wants to speak.
You're ready? Anyone else? I mean, I before I call on you, Ken, I'd like to, anyone else that hasn't spoke yet? I mean, I do not
Yes.
see.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to speak. Legislator Fabiano from Sorganies.
Go ahead. Dean.
Okay, a couple of things bother me here. Number one, I think there should be more of a balance of a geographical perspective when being appointed to this board. Now, I know who Legislator Litz is referring to, a resident of Sorganies, highly qualified to be on that board. Now, I know there was one name that was in this mix for tonight who's only been a resident of Ulster County for 2 years. There's two other names that's being brought tonight who live in the same township of Rochester, which I have no problem. They live in Rochester. They live where they live. And thirdly, I spoke with a certain legislator tonight who told me that they were looking for more diversity by bringing more women to this committee, this IDA board. Now, I don't have a problem with women serving on any board. I happen to like women. But the bottom line is that we should not base somebody's gender on sitting on a board to try to balance it out. So my concern is that if we pass these names tonight, the town of Sorganies, the largest town in Ulster County, who had a representative on that board currently, who is highly qualified, probably more qualified than anybody that's on that board, going to be tossed to the curb and not be appointed. So you're going to have the largest township in Ulster County without any representation on this IDA board. I am appalled by that. I think it's ridiculous. Now, if the gentleman was not qualified or his credentials were kind of skirmish, I would understand it. But we should try to start taking in even a geographical look where more of the parts of Ulster County is going to be represented on this IDA board. Not that you have two people living in the town in the same township. So I will be voting no tonight on this resolution for that reason and that reason only. Thank you.
Legislator Walters?
Thank you. I feel it's really important to state, after hearing the more recent comments, that I was absolutely thrilled that this group did consider gender and racial diversity. I think it is absolutely paramount. I think that to suggest that that isn't important is really saddening and disappointing. I think that it's, especially in the IDA, but for any committee, but this is a particular example where recognizing the importance of diverse voices and that women and people of color really can something that white men alone cannot. And I feel like it's important for me to say that I find those comments very disappointing.
Anyone else that has not spoken yet? I'm trying to look at my screen. I have to go to two screens, so I just want to make sure. All right, then Legislator Ronk.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Where are you? Who was that?
Al from
Oh, go
District
ahead.
2?
Oh, I'm sorry, Al.
Legislator Ronk was
Legislator
trying to talk, but he was on mute.
Legislator Bruno?
Yeah, I'd like to echo pretty much what Dean had said, Legislator Fabiano. Picking somebody based strictly on gender or sex in an IDA, in this particular case, the IDA's reputation in the past has not been stellar. And the community at large throughout the county has had an issue with that. And I think at this juncture, we need to be more focused on qualifications and put the right people in the right positions at the right time. Not specifically because of political or whatever gender or whatever race they happen to be in. And I'm sorry, but I have to agree completely with Mr. Fabiano. I think the person that he's talking about from Saugerties, which is the second largest town or population in the county of Ulster, is more than qualified. And to have him excluded, not to mention qualified, but he is also experienced on the IDA. And I have to agree completely with Legislator Fabiano.
All righty. Anyone else that has not spoken yet? I'm trying to run through my screen here. I do not see anybody else's name up, so I'll call on Legislator Ronk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I was trying to speak when I was on mute. I will say that I'm not going to beat a dead horse because it's not important when anybody speaks. But I technically haven't spoken on the amendment yet. I made the motion to amend, but that's neither here nor there. I'm happy to be able to have the opportunity to speak now. One of the things that I would have preferred rather than try to amend this on the floor, respecting Legislator Cahill's point of view on what came out of the committee, he used the word unanimous several times. And I think that there's a couple of different kinds of unanimity. There's unanimity of the assembled and unanimity of the committee. And there was definitely not unanimity of the committee on this resolution because our most seasoned legislator on that committee, Legislator Litz, who is also the deputy chairman of the committee, was denied the ability to participate in that meeting. And I feel like his expertise and his diligence on this process was squandered a little bit by his not being able to participate in the deliberations of the committee. I would have much preferred, as I've spoken to many members of the Democratic caucus about, my caucus was willing to refer this back to committee so Legislator Litz would be able to be part of the process. you know, I have, you know, received word from enough folks that there was no appetite in the Democratic caucus to send this back to committee to allow legislator Litz to participate, which brings us to where we are right now, which is the motion to amend the resolution to, as the three legislators that are on the Economic Development Committee from our caucus feel, along with the rest of our caucus, better represents the scores that the folks received from legislators on the committee. You know, I would much prefer a more deliberative process on the 7 members, which would, you know, which would entail this going back to committee. I'm really disappointed that you know, more efforts were not made to make legislator Litz able to participate in the deliberations. Quite frankly, you know, I have had an issue with this process the entire time because it felt rushed to me. And I think that when you have the vote on the Thursday before the meeting on a Tuesday, you know, and you, I'm not going to say deliberately, but, you know, leave the head of the minority on the committee out of the process, I think that just makes you question the whole process. So for that reason, I and I believe my caucus members will be a yes on the amendment that's before us.
Legislator Litz.
No, I just have to say, I agree wholeheartedly with Legislator Walter. We should have a diversified in everything we do. My last assignment, out of the 108 inspectors I had on the job, 78% were either women or minorities or African American. I believe in that. But I will tell you, they had their job and they had their position because they were the best and the brightest. And when I tell you the best and the brightest, they were phenomenal. And you can look at our accomplishment down there and know that to be true. But the workforce down there, even though it was highly diversified, was there only because they were highly qualified. We should not lose sight that we should have diversification, but we should also have the best and the brightest on the committee, the board.
Legislator Cahill.
Yes, thank you. I just want to clear up a couple of things here. First of all, we tried very, very hard to rearrange schedules so Legislator Litz could attend the meeting. He proposed Friday. Deputy Clerk Tantillo and I spent a good part of Thursday trying to organize a meeting that we could get the majority of the legislators there. And we were even willing to do it with one less person there if we could get Legislator Litz there. But every combination of hours where people could be there it made it worse. There would be 2 missing or 3 missing, right? And I couldn't do it on that Saturday. Anyway, there was other people that couldn't do it on that Saturday. So I'm just trying to say that we absolutely did try very, very hard to include Legislator Litz. And by the way, Legislator Litz did call in, but his phone was disconnected during that meeting. So we did try, and Deputy Clerk Mahler tried to get back in touch with him several times during the meeting. So it's not like we shut him out. We tried to bring Legislator Litz in. And it was difficult, I'll agree. And it was unfortunate that he was out of town that day. And we tried everything we could to make sure that he was there. And that's why I spoke to him for an hour and a half the night before the meeting. And I spoke to him as first opportunity I got the day after the meeting. And that's why I've sent out over 24 emails to this committee. And I've made over, I counted today, I made over 14 phone calls to members of the committee over the period of this deliberation, right? The one other thing that I want to say is that at no time, and this is not a knock on anyone, but anything about religion or race brought
deliberations. The only thing that we talked about was diversity. There was never a mention of religion during these deliberations. Thank you.
All righty. I don't see anyone else that would like to speak on the motion to amend.
I'll second.
It was, the motion was made and seconded on the motion. Legislator Epner,
Chairman, can I ask for a long roll?
if you wish. Long roll.
Archer,
No.
Bartels,
No.
Bruno,
On the amendment, yes.
Cahill,
No.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Criswell,
No.
DeLon,
No.
Donaldson,
On the amendment, the committee system worked on this. They did their deliberation. They spent 40 hours on this. And the discussions went through, and everybody, they attempted to make sure that anybody that wanted to be involved could be involved. A number of people, I know a number of people from both sides, particularly more members from the Democratic caucus and the Republican caucus, did attend many of the meetings. I know a couple attended all of them. And did not vote, just listened in and didn't participate in the conversation. But it was done in a way, and in fact, at the end of that, everybody on that committee that was there at that point was elated that we came to a compromise and that we all compromised, that we all gave up. I did not get the two people that I wanted the most on that committee. And in fact, you're at one point, I think you're putting one of them names up, but I will not support that because, the committee did speak and they did a lot of work on this. And so as a result, my vote would be a no.
Fabiano,
Yes.
Viveras,
No.
Green, Manna, can you hear me? She's muted.
Move on.
Move on, go back to her.
Haynes,
Yes.
Hepner,
Legislator Ebner,
No.
Litz,
Well, I'm very disappointed and disheartened that this legislature, which for the life of me, I can't figure out why, does not want to appoint the most qualified people to the IDA. And Chairman Donaldson spoke about compromise and Chairman Cahill talked about compromise, but those compromises were political. And when we're appointing people to an agency board, it should be the best qualified people who know what they're talking about and can deal with the applicants and know whether the applicants are giving them a snow job or whether it's a good project. But unfortunately, we're going to appoint by politics and not by the best qualified individuals to sit on that board to do the right thing for the constituents of Ulster County. I am a yes on the amendment because I believe those 7 people to be the best qualified people to sit on the IDA board to do the best possible job for this county. But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have some political appointments who, by their own admission, have no idea what the IDA board does. But we're going to appoint them because it's a political move. I am very disappointed, dismayed, and really not happy that our legislature is carrying on in this fashion. I am yes on the amendment because they're the most qualified people to sit on the board, and that has absolutely nothing to do with race, creed, gender, or anything else. It's based on qualifications.
Lopez,
Yes.
Mayo,
Yes.
Parity,
Well, I have no dog in this fight. The committee spoke, and from what I'm hearing, it was unanimous. Legislator Litz. So I'm a no.
Petit,
I unfortunately am a no.
Roberts,
Yes.
Ronk,
I'm gonna be a yes on the amendment. I share some of Legislator Litz's disappointment. You know, and to hear Chairman Donaldson and others talk about, you know, the integrity of the committee process, and I don't include Legislator Cahill in this because he wasn't on the legislature when this happened. But many legislators who are here voting no on this amendment tonight, you know, and Legislator Donaldson, Chairman Donaldson used, you know, the committee process as, you know, as a reasoning. We have to, you know, trust the committee process and trust the compromise that happens in committee. It seems to me that he's got a bit of a short memory, because it was just 2 years ago, right about this time, maybe a month or so earlier, that the Economic Development Committee that was led by the late Jim Maloney came out with their appointments. I believe that was 7 individual resolutions, as Legislator Litz had requested that happen here as well, which wasn't adhered to or abided by. And the Democratic caucus in the legislature seized on the fact that one member who was then in our caucus, and, you know, seized on his disdain for the current IDA board or the appointments that were going on then, and changed several of the appointments that had come out of committee. So to say that, you know, that this is sort of out of the ordinary or unusual, you know, to reconsider, you know, appointments after they've come out of committee is just false. And Legislator Donaldson went along with it the last time. So I just, you know, again, I have a lot of disappointment. I think that there should have been 7 individual resolutions. The only place that can be divided is in committee, which was another reason why I wanted to send it back to committee. But c'est la vie. So I'm a yes on the amendment.
you should tell.
Well, I did expect that we would have some drama tonight, and I did expect that we would discuss the process and the committee, the will of the committee, and that was expected. I was not expecting some of the conversation that we had tonight, which quite frankly is quite disheartening to hear the value of diverse voices, perspectives, backgrounds, to be questioned. I'm a no on the amendment, and I am disappointed tonight.
Walter,
So I put forth 2 people. One was actually male and one was female. Neither of them made the final cut. I feel like they were extremely highly, they'd be excellent candidates. I think they would have done a terrific job, but that's what happens in this kind of situation. My guess is that a lot of people feel like there are a lot of great candidates. Volunteerism is very challenging, so I would imagine anyone who put themselves forward, just with that in itself, makes them a very good candidate for this. But I trust the process, and I saw the votes. I was sad the votes didn't go the way I would want it to, but the process was the process, and I'm gonna trust.
Vicky, could you go back and grab Manna Joe's vote?
I was going to at the end. I have one more. Waro,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Mary.
Thanks, Dave.
Mary said yes. So Green,
I'm going to be a no, but I do want to just give my respect to Paul Andresen. I have very high regards for him, but I want to support the committee's decision. Were you able to hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion to amend is defeated 10-13.
On the resolution, legislator Ram.
Thanks. I feel necessary after, several, after several people had brought it up. I don't think that any of our legislators were intending to say that they don't think that we should have a IDA board that is not diverse in, gender, in race at all. Or that they shouldn't be considerations at all. I believe that what the legislators were saying is that in a board like the IDA, having qualifications that would be diverse enough on the IDA board, because you don't want 7 bankers or 7 construction guys or 7 business owners, that kind of diversity then committee, gender diversity was given a higher score, I guess, among some committee members than, say, qualifications to serve on the IDA about whether they were a builder or a banker or things of that nature. So I just want to make it clear because, I think that some of the legislators, on my side of the aisle who spoke had some of their comments taken out of context. I don't think that was the way that they were intended.
All right, on the resolution.
On the resolution, the Democratic caucus is a short yes.
The Republican caucus is a short no.
All right.
And John Parody is a yes. So the resolution is adopted 13-10.
I think Laura had her hand up to make a comment.
Oh, sorry, Laura. I'm sorry, Laura.
Thank you.
I'll withdraw my vote so she can speak.
Oh, no, I mean, the vote is what it is, but I would just like to say I've been very disappointed in how this whole thing came about and that it's caused such a fracture between our 2 caucuses. As unfortunately it's happened several times over the last year, we've had procedures overshadowed. Suddenly we started getting form letters that people, businesses in the community, were concerned about the IDA. As far as I know, several of them aren't eligible or had never applied to the IDA for assistance. We moved through this process so quickly, I think in about 3 weeks. I'm not sure how we had the opportunity to advertise and perhaps bring in the best candidates. The candidates that applied had amazing resumes. I do agree with Legislator Litz that perhaps one of them, it was so good, but not for this a particular board. So I don't speak as eloquently as some of you do, but I'm very unhappy with the process. I will be a yes on this resolution, but I'm just hoping that we've made the right decision. I really feel that we are. I think we should have stepped back. I think we should have vetted our candidates and given the opportunity for more people to apply.
All right. I think the vote was already had, was it not?
I believe Legislator Mayo has her hand up, Chairman
Yes.
Donaldson.
Legislator Mayo.
I wanted to say that I'm going to vote yes on the resolution.
All right, so we have, I thought I took the vote. Is it Legislator Epner? You said you were a short yes, is that correct?
Yes, we are a short yes.
And now we're a short yes with, short no with 1 yes, Legislator Mary Beth Mayo.
All righty.
So the resolution is adopted 14-9.
Thank you. We can move on then.
The next
Regulated,
resolution is,
I'm sorry, I was
it's
gonna
okay.
call it out.
It's 179, creating housing opportunities throughout the county by requesting the City of Kingston Land Bank expand its jurisdiction outside of the City of Kingston and promoting the use of county-owned lands for workforce housing, Ulster
I would
County
like to
Planning Department.
recognize legislator Ushadel for an amendment.
Thank you, Chairman Donaldson. I move to amend the first resolved to read that the Ulster County Legislature hereby requests that the county, in collaboration with the KCLB, explore expansion of the KCLB's jurisdiction to lands outside of the City of Kingston. And that's the only section that's amended.
Right, that's
I'll second that.
who seconded that? Oh, legislator
Bartels.
Bartel seconded it? Okay. On the amendment, legislator Litz?
Yeah, I'm just curious, are we gonna have members, from the Ulster County on that land bank, board, if they expand?
Yeah, if it goes through, yes, that would be part of the process. It would become more of a county land bank. But they do not issue new land banks very readily, and so it actually makes more sense for us to join in with the city. But legislators Mushatel's amendment is a friendly amendment because of the way it was wording. We can't really direct the Kingston Land Bank to do anything. We're requesting that they look at things along with the county, and they're interested in this. And so, and they already got the work done to set it up. So it's an expansion. Legislator Litz?
Should we mention somewhere in the resolution that the county would like to have a seat on the board, at least one seat on the board?
Well, I believe they'll have more than one seat on the board, but
Doesn't state that.
No, it doesn't state
they don't
that.
have to go along with it.
But it's part of the negotiations, and it'll have to come back to the legislature for an approval in the end. Legislator Ushadel.
Yeah, so I completely agree with Legislator Litz on that topic and many, many other topics that would fall into the category of things that would need to change from the current land bank in Kingston in order for it to be a county land bank. The name, the relationship with resources, looking at different types of properties, the fact that there are different jurisdictions that are involved. But I think one of the things that's important to keep in mind, first and foremost, is that this is just beginning the conversation. The Kingston City Land Bank, has to have a seat at the table of that conversation as well, because that is the entity we're talking about. And secondly, that this is directing the county executive's office to be the lead, as they could do, quite frankly, without our recommendation, to initiate this conversation. So, those conversations are very much going to be around advocating for the county to have a significant role, and what the details of that role are going to be wouldn't be appropriate to put in the legislation at this time.
Legislator Bartel, since I'm sorry, I missed you before. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Legislator Ushadel said pretty much what I was going to say.
Thank you. Legislator, anyone else? Legislator Abner, did you want to say something?
No, I'm ready to call the vote on the amendment.
All righty. On the amendment, it's basically a friendly amendment as pointed out. Who seconded? Oh, yes, Legislator Bartels did second it. I'm sorry. Okay, on the amendment.
On the amendment, the Democratic Caucus is a short yes.
On the amendment, we're a short yes as well.
Thank you. All right, on the resolution, does anyone wish to speak? Legislator Ronk?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciated Legislator Ushatel's comments. I know that was a concern that was brought up several times by several legislators in our caucus. And I just hope that, as we move forward in this process, no lands from the county are transferred to the land bank, prior to the county being, receiving adequate representation. And that's all that our caucus asks for on this particular resolution.
Right, and I'm not signing it unless we do. So, Legislator Bartels, did you want to speak again? No. Okay, Legislator Griswold. I'm sorry.
Yep, I just wanted to say that I'm very much in support of this. I'm very excited that this is happening. I think it's a long time coming, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops.
And so am I, Legislator Kurtzbaum. All right, on the, I guess I could call the vote. I don't see anyone else. I have to jump from two screens. On the vote on the resolution, Legislator Abner.
Democratic Caucus is a short yes.
Well,
We're short yes.
The
thank you.
resolution is adopted as amended 23-0. Resolution 182, authorizing the issuance of an additional $18,400 bonds of the County of Ulster, New York, to pay part of the cost of improvements at the Veterans Cemetery in and for said county. Archer.
Yes.
Bartels.
Yes.
Bruno.
Yes.
Cahill.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes.
Criswell.
Yes.
DeLon.
Yes.
Donaldson.
Yes.
Fabiano.
Yes.
Gaveris.
Yeah.
Green.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes.
Hepner.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Lopez. Parity.
Yes.
Petite.
Yes, there, yes.
Roberts.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I got it. Ronk.
Yes.
Uchitel.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
And Warrow.
Yes.
Mary,
The
I'll
res-
let you vote.
The
See, Mary-
resolution is adopted 23-0. And I just want to correct for the record that Legislator Lopez did come onto the meeting at 7:11. So
Yes.
the consent agenda was adopted 23-0. And the two resolutions for postponement, 96 and 97, that postponement was unanimous 23-0. And that's it.
All righty, and then the late resolution was pushed over to consent. So we have a meeting that's going to be adjourned in a memory of a number of people that will be read by Legislator Green. Are you able to do that?
Take myself off mute. And the May meeting of the Ulster County Legislature is adjourned in memory of Honorable Joan A. Avery of Rosendale, New York. Joan Avery was the legislator representing Rosendale and Esopus from 1987 to 2007. And, we were on very different parts of the political spectrum, but she was a wonderful member of the community, very generous, and will be missed. Anthony Molinaro Jr., father of Dutchess County Executive Marcus Molinaro, Rhoda Schatzel of Ruby, New York, Clarence J. Hardick Jr. of Walk Hill, New York, Joseph F. Ziplicki Jr. of New Paltz, New York, Melville A. Allen Jr., Ulster Park, New York, Carl Edwards, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, George H. Yerry Jr., Lake Katrine, New York, Thomas A. Comfort, Modena, New York, Ruth A. Temple, Sawkill, New York, Paul D. Worthington, a beloved community leader in Kingston, New York, Ronald J. Santosky, Accord, New York, Margaret Megans, Lake Katrine, New York, Anna J. Mellon, Town of Kingston, New York. Just have to move this. Yeah, there we go. Donald Crum, Cottikill, New York. Diego Mora, Lake Katrine, New York. Dorothy Sonnenberg, Lake Katrine, New York. Helen J. Rodelli, Milton, New York. John V. Esposito, Marlborough, New York. Mary Stupple, Kingston, New York. Helen F. Halley, Saugerties, New York. And John Bongiorno, New Paltz, New York.
Does anyone wish to add anyone else? Legislator Archer?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to add Kathy Schoonmaker. She is the wife of Dan Schoonmaker of Schoonmaker Farms. Her and her husband ran the farm market there for over 20 years. Their daughter and son-in-law are now running it, but she passed on May 1st, and she succumbed to her 6-year fight of cancer. So,
Legislator Bartels?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to add George Watts of Gardner and Alma Rhodes of Wallkill.
Legislator KL?
Yes, I'd like to add a friend of mine, Judge Kessick's brother, Thomas Engelhart, who lived in Las Vegas, but is a Kingston native, and one of my best friends growing up succumbed to a heart attack at the age of 59 years old. Thanks.
Legislator Criswell?
I just wanted to mention that Paul Worthington, the loss of him is a great loss for the city of Kingston. He was an incredible leader, worked with youth, was a tireless fighter for young people and supporting them. And his wife Rita is on the city council, and he's going to be missed.
Legislator Worrow, did you have your hand up?
I did, thank you. Anthony Scroy from Hurley, and Violet Finger and Winifred Van Roy, both from Saugerties.
You? Legislator Ushito?
Yeah, I just echo the sorrow in the passing of Paul Worthington, and also on the passing of John Bongiorno. He was a character that was ever present in New Paltz when I was living there, and is just missed by so many people, and passed unexpectedly 2 weeks ago, and leaves behind 2 children. And he was just such a joyous part of the community.
And I also served with Joan Every, and she was always a lady, and it was, you could always talk with her. And it was, she did a great job as a legislator. She served for many years. And Paul Worthington, many people don't understand or realize, the earlier life that he had was not an easy one. And he turned himself totally around, and he became a leader in his community. And as is pointed out, his wife serves on the Common Council, and he's going to be greatly missed in our community. I don't see anyone else up. So we'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Chairman Donaldson, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Legislator Bruno seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty, the next regular meeting of the legislature will be held on Tuesday, June 16th at 2020 at 7 o'clock. PM resolution deadline is Friday, May 22nd at noon. Hopefully we may be able to do that meeting here. Maybe still social distancing, but we'll see how that works. We'll see how that works, but hopefully that will be taking place in chambers as I'm here tonight. So everybody enjoy the rest of their evening. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Everybody
Stay healthy.
Take care, everyone.